Hey, it's Sandra. Welcome to another episode of Asexualise, my asexual life. This is a place to be for education about asexuality, all things asexual. I share my own asexual journey in order to help you in yours. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the great big subscribe button below right here, right now. Please hit that bell icon to get notified of every time I go live like now, post a new video. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you find the content useful, insightful in any way, shape or form. In a few moments, I'm going to be discussing what the difference is between sexual attraction and arousal, and how that works if you're an asexual experiences arousal but no sexual attraction, because they are indeed two different things. But before we get into it, if you don't know who I am Sandra Bellamy, author of this awesome book, Asexual Perspectives, 47 Asexual Stories, Love, Life and Sex, a celebration of asexual diversity. And if you didn't already know, these are real life asexual stories. It took me a year to write the book. So if you're brand new to asexuality, you don't really understand the difference between sexual attraction, sexual desire, arousal, all that type of thing, all the answers to those questions are in this book from not just me, but 46 other asexuals. There's 47 of us in total in the book. The book also goes into basically what asexuals think about BDSM, kinks, porn, masturbation, all those type of things, all the taboo topics that no one really wants to talk about, but everyone's thinking about when you're first new to asexuality. So go ahead and buy that book now if you haven't already got a copy of it. And once you've got that book, don't forget to come back and watch this live stream. So yes, sexual attraction versus arousal, or arousal versus sexual attraction. So if you're for example, sexual person such as a heterosexual person, you would experience sexual attraction, and what that means is you basically get the need, urge or want for partnered sexual intercourse. Often for sexuals, arousal and sexual attraction go together. They see someone they're sexually attracted to, and often the arousal will come in the shape and form of, bits tingling. In the case of a guy, sometimes the guy gets an erection, for example. In terms of a woman, things can get like nipples can get hard, all that type of thing, right? And so there's certain things the body can do physically when it feels aroused, and it depends obviously where you're thinking about the person or whether you're touching the person as to what might happen to your physical body in an aroused state. Someone who's being physically touched, for example, may experience higher levels of arousal usually than if they're not touched at all. However, different things vary from person to person. Okay, and different people have different arousal levels. So this goes for sexuals too, not just asexuals, right? For sexuals, some of them will feel aroused by different things. They might feel aroused by imagery. That's why quite a lot of them watch porn. To get aroused, because it's the imagery of the naked bodies. Also, some people get aroused by things like certain role play scenarios, certain situations, maybe the forbidden love, all that type of thing. It very depends what the person's own stimulus is as to how the arousal would be instigated, how it would feel in the body and the mind. And a lot of people just think arousal is like a physical thing, but I know from personal experience, and I'm asexual, that for me it isn't just a physical thing. I don't have to have any touching whatsoever to feel aroused, and yes, I am asexual. So how does this work, right? So like I said, sexual attraction for them is that they look at someone basically and they feel this kind of like, whoa, yeah, I'd really like to have sex with that person. I'm really sexually attracted to them. I really want to go to sleep with them, but not to sleep to have sex with them, basically. And it's kind of a really innate need, and they associate that arousal usually with a person, and often it makes them want to act on it. Or sometimes they could just, if they're in a relationship and they're monogamous, they could just think about it. So they might still obviously be aroused by other people, think someone's really good looking, but not necessarily act on it if they're monogamous. Maybe obviously if it's a film star, a pop star, they might decide to do stuff like masturbation whilst they're looking at the pictures of the person, that type of thing. That's very, very common with sexuals. They tend to masturbate over people's pictures and stuff like that. Yeah, to me as an asexual, it's a bit disgusting, but that's what they tend to do, you know. The imagery really turns them on, especially with a body that they're sexually attracted to. So for them, a lot of it is very physical. It's very like you know, the imagery. What I've learned through traditional dating coaches, as opposed to me that's an asexual coach, is that men and women, if you just split the two genders, obviously there's a lot more genders we know as asexuals, and we respect the fact there's a lot more genders, but if you split it into traditional male and female, males tend to have a lot more stimulus in relationships through physicality, through touching, through seeing the body, that type of thing. That's usually traditionally conformatively how guys tend to love more as a physical thing, right? Females tend to love more and be attracted and in relationships more from an emotional standpoint. So you've got this kind of physical, emotional going on between the different type of genders. This is very stereotypical, right? I know with asexuality we're not stereotypical, so I'm just taking you through the kind of the basics of what I've learned over the years from traditional dating coaches that, you know, service the sexuals basically. They don't, you know, more than anything else. So guys tend to traditionally, conventionally have less words to say than females. This is kind of the known norm of psychology in the world. It's not to say I personally think it should be like that. And I think there's quite a few issues surrounding that in relationships. If someone's talking a lot more than the other person and someone's really not got much to say, that can cause a lot of problems and issues. Hence why sometimes gender differences are so different. Really typical male, really typical female. Sometimes they don't actually go together. Sometimes they can work very well and be like, you know, go together like, you know, like mouse and cheese, and other times they can be polar opposites and really not understand each other because they're both one's coming from a really wordy emotional place like a female, and one guy's coming from a physical not much talking space. You know, it's like, where's the connection there? You know, there's got to be really in every good relationship a combination between masculine and feminine, between any gender really, to make it work, to understand each other on a deep foundational level. That's why a lot of relationships don't work these days, among, you know, apart from obviously the sex thing, where people are just like scrolling through the internet, you know, being very unfaithful. Unfortunately, a lot of sexuals are on dating sites just swiping, chatting to lots of women, guys, and whatever they're doing. You know, I think it's a bit sad that a lot of the world and society is like that. It makes a very small minority of people available for us anyway, and as asexuals it's a lot harder. So in terms of asexuality, so asexuality in broad terms is the lack of sexual attraction. So if someone's a pure asexual, so they're completely asexual rather than just being on the asexual spectrum, if someone's a pure asexual, they don't experience sexual attraction at all whatsoever, right? That they just don't look at anyone in that way. They don't feel they want sex with anyone. There's not that urge, need, or want. A lot of them don't even think about that type of thing, right? That asexuality is a huge spectrum. So you've got people that are on the asexuality spectrum. They don't fit into the normal sexual spectrum, but they're on the asexuality spectrum. So you have people like who've got who are the grey asexuals, who do experience sexual attraction, but under limited, rare, or specific circumstances, or who do experience it, but not enough to want to act on it. So, for example, it might be that they're a demisexual, which demisexual falls under the grey asexual end of the spectrum. So a demisexual is someone who can only experience sexual attraction when a deep emotional bond has been formed. Usually has to be reciprocated and maintained by both parties, right? So when the demisexual has a deep emotional connection, if they start to experience sexual attraction, it could just be for one person their whole life, for example, and every other time whenever they meet someone, they're not sexually attracted at all. They are asexual in that way. So until they actually form that deep bond and become sexually attracted, they are in that complete asexual category. They don't experience it, just like we don't. And obviously there's so many different variations. There's some types of asexuals that fantasize about sex and sexual things, but they don't want to be actively involved in it themselves. So usually for asexuals, if there's arousal in an asexual, it's not aimed at anyone, and or it's not it's not got anyone involved in it. So the arousal doesn't make an asexual person want to have sex usually, you know, in the sense that they, you know, if someone's doing something to their bits, you know, like someone's touching someone, it doesn't then make them think, oh, right, now I want to have sex, you know. But obviously, if you're an asexual that does have sex, it'll put your body physically more in a state for preparing to have sex if you wanted sex, to try it or do it, or if you got a partner, right? Because, you know, there's certain things you do to prepare the body to make sex a more comfortable experience, which obviously I'm still going to be publishing my Asexual Guide to Sex book, so this type of information will be in there, and this will be published this year to help anyone out who's asexual and thinking about having sex for the first time but not sure if they actually want to give it a try, or they do want to do it, or if they you know, they just like really on the fence about it, right? Obviously, there's loads of asexuals that don't have sex. I don't encourage any asexual to have sex. If they don't want it, don't like it, don't need it, don't want it, don't have it. I haven't had sex since 2011, but I am very experienced compared to some asexuals about sex because I was in long-term sexual relationships for years. And my last long-term ex was very kind of like position exploratory, right? So that's kind of where I'm coming from. So yeah, so for me personally, I have high arousal levels. Now, as an asexual person who has high arousal levels but no desire for, you know, for sex and no sexual attraction. So sexual desire is the desire for sex itself, regardless of who it's with. You just want sex. You've got an innate I can't even speak. Innate need and desire for the sex itself, right? The sexual attraction. You really, really, really badly want the sex. You don't kind of care how you get it. It's the sex that you want more than any person. Sexual attraction is you're attracted to a specific person or people that you want to have sex with. And arousal is something you physically feel in your body. So your genitalia will usually tingle. You might feel tingly in your whole body. You might feel excitable. You often might want to like have, you know, masturbate yourself to relieve the arousal feeling. But usually for an asexual, the major difference is it's not connected to anyone. You don't look at someone and, you know, feel aroused and then you want sex with them. In some cases, you know, you can be aroused by, some asexuals can be aroused by seeing like naked imagery. Some asexuals can be aroused by you know, like porn and stuff. A lot of asexuals that do watch porn are using it to masturbate to because they can't get aroused in any other way, and it's the physical imagery of the body of how we're conditioned as human beings to for our body to react. So sometimes I see some imagery and I don't like it because I don't like the naked body, and even my bits start tingling below, and it's like, hang on a minute, I don't like this, I don't want to see it, so why is my body even doing that? So my body kind of has a separate mind of its own to my actual brain. But for me as an asexual person, in my mind, I never want sex. I never associate love with sex. And if I feel aroused, it's just I feel aroused. I don't want to have sex. If I feel aroused, you know, I can still want to kiss a guy because for me, I get attracted to a guy's face. If he's very, very gorgeous looking in his face, then I want to snog his face off. I don't want to have sex. I'm not interested in his penis or below the waist. It doesn't do anything for me. I'm not interested in that. So my arousal is a response to just thoughts sometimes. If I think about kissing, just think about it with no one involved. Just think about, oh my goodness, I love kissing, you know, then it can get me really aroused very, very super quickly and easily. So I'm very different to a lot of asexuals in the sense that I adore kissing. I adore kissing like a favorite hobby of mine. You know, when you've got a hobby and you like to practice it every day and it's like your favorite thing in the world and you're like, oh, I just want to do this for the rest of my life. Kind of kissing is very much similar to that for me. Probably not as much, because I like writing. Writing I can't live without ever. You know, writing is my hugest passion. Whereas I live without kissing far more than writing. You know, I don't kiss for months, but I do get the need, urge, and want to kiss quite a lot. So for me, I do understand sexuals getting the urge to have sex, even though I don't want sex myself, because I feel that way about kissing. I don't feel that way about sex, right? So I can understand that sexuals get this kind of innate need, urge, and want for sex, although I feel it's very, very difficult for us as asexuals to live in a society and be around sexuals that feel that way. I do understand from the point of view that I have this innate need and desire to kiss. You know, I really do love kissing. And I do get very kissing frustrated. You know, it's like I haven't kissed for ages. And obviously I can kind of understand then why a sexual person would feel sexual frustration. The fact they haven't had sex for a while. I can understand it, even though I don't feel it. And even though I'm personally sexual, well, for me, I can understand a fellow human being of a different sexuality. That's what I'm saying. I still don't like the fact, obviously, that sex is so, like overrated in society. It's all blown up out of proportion. To me, I don't enjoy it. I don't like it. I don't need it. So for me, it's not a big deal. For me, it's like, if you haven't tried it, you don't need it, don't want it, don't bother, because to me, you're not missing absolutely anything whatsoever. It's not this crazy, amazing orgasmic experience. In fact, I don't think, as far as I know, I've never had an orgasm in my life. I don't really even get what that is. I've had arousal and that type of thing, and squirting and all that type of thing that females can actually do, some of us. But I've had nothing with the orgasmic. If it even goes remotely, like my body starts to get out of control a little bit, that's it. I'm stopping. I'm not interested. I don't want my body to go out of control. I don't understand why people enjoy that. To me, that is just weird. But then I'm strange anyway, because I'm different, I'm happy to be different. I'm strange in a good way. I was strange before I even found out I was asexual. Strange as in not normal, and I love it. Why be normal when you can be kind of crazy and have lots more fun with it, life? So yeah, I hope you've understood this. I hope you understand that sexual desire is desiring the sex itself. Sexual attraction is being sexually attracted to someone, or some people are sexually attracted to pets, some people are sexually attracted to cars, some people are sexually attracted to buildings. So it's not just people. But but if you're talking about sexual attraction in terms with people, it's like you're sexually attracted to a specific person or specific people. You actually would like to have sex with that person in reality. If you're aroused and you don't experience sexual attraction, for example, because you're asexual, you lack sexual attraction, but you experience arousal, for an asexual person, the arousal wouldn't usually be associated with it, with that person wanting to lead on to have sex. Obviously, if you're on the more sexual end of the asexual spectrum, that might not be entirely the case, because there might be a limited, rare or specific circumstance of the person you do want to do that with, or you might experience sexual attraction that goes along with that, but not enough to want to act on it. So there are kind of like grey areas of asexuality. But the arousal, for me, for example, I can get high levels of arousal quite often, which is very, very annoying, because I'd rather just get on with my day and not have these like tingly, excitable feelings. But it does happen, usually it's to do with kissing, because I'm so get excitable and aroused through kissing, to be quite honest, but just thought of kissing. And I like it sometimes. Sometimes it's nice if you actually got a person that you like kissing, or you actually can relieve it sometimes. But then I don't like really masturbation for me. I've kind of gone really off that now. I didn't used to do it, and then I started doing it, and I'm kind of like really not bothered about doing that now. I'd rather just like get a guy that I like to kiss. But obviously you can't just go and grab a guy like that. It has to be someone I'm aesthetically attracted to and trust, and preferably in a relationship. But I'm not even looking for a relationship anymore right now. So that kind of leads me to when this crisis over the world, lockdown thing ends, just leave me to, if I want to kiss a guy in a club and there's no virus going around, then it's okay to do that. But you've got to be really careful even when you're kissing, because you don't know where other people have been, and you can't obviously do that at the moment. So I think people, like particularly asexuals, I think a lot of asexuals, there's a number of them, not all of them, because there's a lot of them that don't, but there's still a number of them that do masturbate. And sometimes it is because they do feel aroused, but they don't want to have sex. It's not, the arousal's not associated with directly wanting to have sex with anyone. So that's the main difference. So if you're an asexual and you're thinking, I'm getting these weird feelings, but I still don't want sex, then it's like you're experiencing arousal. If you're experiencing like, oh my God, I've kind of got this urge, but I don't know what I'm doing, and like that, I want sex. So it's like kind of like tingling down there. What the heck am I doing with it? That's kind of an arousal feeling, basically. You're being aroused, but you don't actually want to go and have sex with anyone. You kind of like, whatever you were doing at the time. But I can get aroused, like I said, with my mind, with nobody touching me whatsoever, which is quite rare. And I don't even have to, I don't fantasize, I don't think about, I don't actually think, sometimes I think about me just like kissing the fresh air. There's no one actually there. I'm just thinking about kissing, you know what I mean? Which is very, very rare. Most people have to have someone else involved in a fantasy scenario, even if they don't want it in reality. Do you know what I mean? So that's, again, very kind of rare, I think, even among asexuals. I think asexuals who get aroused tends to be because they've thought about something or someone in their mind at the time, despite not wanting to act on it with a person in reality, and it lead to sex. So I hope that's made some sort of clarity in your mind. I hope you understand the difference now between sexual desire, sexual attraction, and arousal. If you've got any questions about any of those three things in relation to how sexuals experience that or how asexuals experience that, although I'm not sexual myself, I have been in heterosexual relationships for a very, very long time in my life. I do understand sexuals quite well in that respect, and I kind of can feel the sexual attraction towards me, even though not directly experiencing it myself. And because I experience high levels of arousal, I do have the urge, need, and want to kiss a lot of the time, then I can kind of understand sexuals feel that way, but about in terms of sexual attraction and actually sex with someone. Whereas for me, I just feel aroused and excited about kissing, and I don't ever want it to lead to sex. So I kind of understand them, you know. Anyway, like I said, if you've got any questions, comments, please pop them down below. If you like this video, if you found it useful, helpful, insightful in any way, shape or form, I'd love you to give it a thumbs up. That would be absolutely awesome. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please hit that great big subscribe button below right here, right now. And I'd love to have you as part of my community. I want to thank all the people in the community already that's been here for over a very long time. Lots of love to you, whatever you're up to right now. And thanks for watching, because I know there's at least one person that's always watching this channel consistently. Every time I come on this channel, they're here and they're like a silent admirer. So whoever you are, I love you to bits. Thank you so much for your support. I appreciate you watching a lot. Maybe one day you'll let me know who you are, but if you don't, lots of love to you. I really appreciate you being here. And like I said, subscribe if you haven't already and hit that bell icons, because that's when you get notified of every time I go live. Like now, I'll post a new video. I've done a live video at a different time today. So I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you found it a good experience and that you've learnt more about arousal and sexual attraction in relationship to asexuality. If you have, or if you've got any more questions, comments or queries, plop them down below in the comments. Love to hear from you. It's a pleasure as always to be here. I wish you lots of love, happiness, health, success, and to stay positive, right? We've got to stay positive, people. We'll get through everything together, and united we stand and we will not fall. I love you to bits. Take care, embrace your quirky and each other's. I'll see you on the next live stream or video. Bye bye for now. Bye.